In this video, I'm going to go over how to reduce tension in the upper cervical spine, that area right up at the bottom of your skull. This tension can really make a big impact on the body because if we can't turn our head optimally, and we can even test for this in the upper cervical spine, then we're going to have to rotate through other parts of our body to get the job done. And over time, if I can't turn my head and I have to use different strategies to try to turn back, I can build up too much tension in areas where I don't want it. So we're going to test our lower cervical spine by just turning with our head neutral to the right and to the left. And I feel slightly more restricted to the right, but overall my range feels pretty good. For the upper cervical, I'm going to have you tuck your chin all the way down to your chest, and you're going to keep that chin tucked, and then you're going to rotate to the left and rotate to the right. And you may feel more restriction on one side or the other. We're also going to test our lateral side bend. So I'm going to keep my head at neutral and I'm going to side bend to the right and then side bend to the left. And again, you may feel a little bit of restriction up high. If there is compression of the chest wall, then the head is going to move forward in space. And technically, we should have some lordosis or curvature of our cervical spine here. But as our chest wall compresses and our head moves forward, we actually lose the curve in our neck. So if I slouch down here, you can see my head going forward. My lower cervical is going into a flexed position. In order to counter this, I'm going to have to look up through that upper cervical spine, which is putting me into extension. And if we want motion to rotate into, then we need to create more flexion in the upper cervical to allow for that rotation to happen. And we need to make sure that we expand through the chest wall to lift up so we're in a better stacked position and our head can rest optimally over the thorax. If I don't deal with the upper cervical tension and I try to do all the things I can to improve my rib cage and expand through the chest, but I'm in a lot of extension up top, when I elevate, my line of sight is going to be forward. And so my natural tendency is going to be to drop back down. So we want to make sure we're looking at each piece of the puzzle, reduce some tension in the upper cervical, keep the chest wall open and lifted, and then use our arms and our head to create some reciprocal motion. For this first step, we're going to start out with a little therapy ball. It's a hard ball that's just a little bit soft and squishy, and we're going to use a yoga block, and we're going to do some side bending and flexion and extension to open up that area. So I'm going to start with the ball on the lateral side up close to the bottom of my skull, and it's going to go just behind my ear. I'm going to do a few motions in that area, and then I'm going to move it back just ever so slightly. I'm going to place the ball just behind my ear on that upper part of my cervical spine. If I rotate this direction, I'm side bending towards that direction, and I just kind of want to sit in neutral for a second. As I inhale through my nose, I'm going to rotate the opposite direction to side bend away and take a full inhale. As I come back, I'm going to sink and relax over the ball. I'm going to do that again. Inhale, side bend slightly away. Exhale, relax over the ball. Inhale, exhale, relax. You can do about 5 or 6 breaths and then move the ball slightly back. And I'm going to do the same thing. Inhale, open. Exhale, relax. Inhale, open. Exhale, relax. So you're going to do about 5 or 6 breaths in each position on each side before going on to the next step. Next, I'm going to work on reducing tension at the base of the skull back here, and we're going to bias a little more to the left and a little more to the right as well. So you want to take a pretty good sized towel roll and place it behind your lower cervical spine so you maintain that cervical lordosis. Depending on how much compression you have in that chest wall and how far forward your head is in front of your body, you may need a larger towel roll so you can stack up 2 towels to really support that lower cervical area. And you may also need a pillow behind your head to bring the floor up to your head. So take that into consideration and play around. When you're in the right position, you should feel supported and like you can relax through the activities. So I've got the towel roll in a good position to support my neck. And then I'm going to take the ball and put it up just above that underneath my upper cervical area. So I'm going to hold this position and I'm going to slightly tilt down with my chin as I allow my pelvis to come forward ever so slightly. So I'm going to inhale here, breathing into the chest wall. Exhale, come back. You can see my chin tilts up a little bit more. I'm going to drive the pelvis forward. Inhale, exhale, come back. Inhale, exhale. And I'm going to repeat that for about 10 breaths before moving on. Now I'm going to be working on rotating side to side using reaches. I'm going to stay slightly forward with the pelvis. So it's not a big anterior tilt, it's just a small little tip forward. And then I'm going to reach with my left arm and it pushes the ball over to the right side. And I'm going to take an inhale, exhale, let myself come out of that anterior tilt. Inhale, tilt forward. Exhale, come back. Inhale, tilt forward. Exhale, come back. You can repeat that for about 5 breaths. You can reset up if you need to, and you're going to reach with the other arm. So I'm really protracting that shoulder. Tilt forward, inhale, exhale, relax. Inhale, exhale, relax. Inhale, exhale, relax it out. If you want, you can also play around with alternating your reaches. So I can reach to the right, pelvis comes forward, exhale, reach with my right arm to the left, pelvis comes forward, exhale, and I can reciprocate that movement back and forth. So now I'm going to set up on the wall without the ball, and I'm going to use the same towel roll behind my neck. So I'm going to get into a short seated position all the way up against the wall. I'm going to take the towel roll, put it under my lower cervical spine, and the back of my skull is now on the wall. From there, I'm going to imagine just chin tucking slightly back on the left side, so the left side of my chin coming a little bit back, the left side of my skull feeling like it's pushing into the wall a little bit harder, reaching my left arm forward. I'm going to take an inhale, exhale. I'm going to switch and repeat that on the right. So the right side of my chin is coming back, reaching, take an inhale, exhale, left side of my chin coming back, inhale, exhale, right side of my chin coming back. So here's what it looks like from the front. Left side chin coming back, right side chin coming back. Slight tilt down on the left, slight tilt down on the right. And you can repeat that for about 10 breaths, 5 on each side. How can we integrate this into our movement practice? If I'm doing any exercise where I can add a reach, I can make sure that my head stays facing forward so I'm not reaching and rotating and I'm getting that relative motion. So for example, I could go into a lateral lunge to the side and reach with my right arm and not allow my cervical spine to rotate with me. This way I'm providing a counter rotation back on the right as my thorax rotates to the left. So it would be here, reach, look forward, take an inhale, exhale. I can switch to the other side, again, keeping my head relatively neutral, which is a counter rotation back to the left. Inhale there, exhale, switch to the other side, keeping my eyes forward, head straight. So I can pretty much do this on any of my exercises. I could go into a reverse lunge and alternate sides and keep that head neutral as I rotate my thorax underneath my cervical spine. You can do the same thing with any of your upper body exercises. So as I come back with my right arm, I'm keeping my head straight, which is technically a rotation to the left. And then as I press with the right, I'm overreaching, which is creating a turn to the left of my thorax and a rotation back to the right. So I can open, inhale, exhale, and I'm getting that same rotation. Inhale, exhale. You can do the exact same thing by flipping it around and you're doing it in your row. I put the links to my favorite therapy balls below. I've got a slightly smaller and a medium size, and it just depends on the size of the person, so I recommend having one of each. I hope this video was really helpful, and if it was, please like, share, and subscribe.